The diner was alive with the usual sounds: dishes, clinking, soft chatter, and the low hum of an old jukebox. Yet that afternoon, a sudden hush swept across the room. Every gaze fixed on the same haunting sight. There she stood, an African-American waitress, tray balanced in one hand, the other bound tightly in a heavy white cast. Her steps were careful, unsteady, every movement betraying pain she refused to show. Still on her face lingered that practiced smile, fragile but unbroken. To the casual eye, it might have been an accident, a fall, a slip. But the silence told. Another story. There was something darker in the air, something unsaid. Among the customers sat a man no one recognized. He looked ordinary, blending in with the crowd. But beneath that quiet exterior, he wasn't just another diner guest. He was the undercover owner of the very place they all sat in. And as he watched the waitress struggle, he knew it was about to uncover a truth that would shatter everything. Her name was Ella. Every morning before sunrise, she walked the cracked sidewalks to the little diner at the corner of Maple Street. It wasn't glamorous red vinyl booths, checkered floors worn from decades of footsteps, and the scent of frying bacon lingering in the air. But for Ella, it was a matter of survival. Her paycheck was small, barely enough to cover the rent of her cramped apartment and the endless medical bills for her mother at home. Yet she carried herself with grace, always polite, always dependable. The kind of worker who never complained even when she should have. But Ella's world wasn't as simple as pouring coffee and serving plates. She had grown used to the looks, those sideways glances from customers who barely acknowledged her because of her skin. She had learned to swallow the sharp remarks, the whispers, the dismissive tone that followed her like a shadow. And then came the injury. Her right arm, wrapped in plaster, was rendered nearly useless. She never told anyone exactly what happened. When customers asked, she just smiled faintly, brushed it off. But her silence screamed louder than words. On the surface, she was just another hardworking waitress. Yet beneath, her life was tangled in a storm of injustice that no one in the diner truly saw. Until that day, the undercover owner, known simply as Mr. Harris, had returned to his diner after months away. You wanted to see how things ran when no one knew he was watching. Dressed in ordinary clothes, he blended in, sitting quietly at a corner booth with a cup of coffee. From the moment he saw Ella, something unsettled him. The way she moved, careful but strained, her cast a glaring reminder of a wound unexplained. He noticed how customers treated her, some ignoring her presence, others smirking as though her pain was entertainment. But what truly caught his attention was the manager. A middle-aged man with a stiff posture and cold eyes, he barked orders at Ella louder than necessary. When she struggled to carry plates with one arm, he didn't offer help. Instead, he sneered. "Move faster," he snapped under his breath, just loud enough for her to hear. Harris watched Ella bow her head, swallowing the humiliation. She didn't answer back. She couldn't afford to dawdle as the hours passed. Harris saw more. A group of men in the back booth whispered and laughed, motioning toward her cast. One mimicked a fall, sending the others into chuckles. Ella delivered their meals anyway, setting down plates with quiet dignity, her face betraying nothing. Something wasn't right. Harris could feel it. The injury, the silence, the way everyone else seemed to know something. He'd stay intoned. And then it happened. As Ella leaned over to clear a table, a sleeve slipped back, exposing bruises running up her arm above the cast. Dark, ugly marks that spoke of something far worse than an accident. Harris's jaw tightened. He noticed how quickly she tugged the sleeve back down, eyes darting to the manager. The man stood at the counter, arms crossed, watching her with an expression that was almost threatening. In that moment, Harris realized this wasn't just about poor working conditions or subtle discrimination. Something violent had happened. And Ella, trapped by circumstance and fear, was carrying it alone. The weight in the diner grew heavier. Harris's pulse quickened. He knew he couldn't stay silent much longer. But before he could act, He needed to uncover the truth. The breaking point came at closing time. The diner had emptied, leaving only the hum of fluorescent lights and the smell of stale coffee. Ella was cleaning, struggling with one arm, when the manager stormed over. "You missed a spot," Key growled, snatching the rag from her hand. The sudden motion made her wince, pain flashing across her face. He leaned closer, voice low but venomous. "Don't forget who's in charge here. One more mistake and you're out." That was it. Harris rose from his booth, his chair scraping against the floor like a gunshot. "Enough." His voice cut through the silence. Every head turned. The manager froze, confusion flashing across his face. Harris stepped forward, pulling a folded document from his pocket. He laid it on the counter, the deed of ownership, signed in his name. "I'm the owner," Harris declared, "and I've seen enough." Ella's eyes widened. For the first time, the mask of composure cracked. Tears welled, but she forced them back, standing straighter. The manager stammered, his authority dissolving into panic. Harris looked at him, then at Ella's cast, then back at the man. "You did this, didn't you?" His voice trembled with controlled fury. The silence was answer enough. Dear audience, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to give it a like. It really helps. The manager was gone by morning, fired on the spot, escorted out with nothing more than the clothes on his back. Harris ensured every witness in the diner that night knew exactly why Dotila sat in the corner booth, her cast resting on the table, her future uncertain. She wasn't used to kindness, not from people in power. But Harris leaned across the table, his tone softer now. "You don't have to hide anymore," he said. "Not here." It wasn't just about one waitress. It wasn't even just about one diner. It was about something bigger, the silent battles fought every day by people whose struggles are ignored, dismissed, or mocked. Ella's broken hand was more than an injury. It was a symbol of how deeply prejudice can wound, and how courage often comes wrapped in silence. Harris promised change. Better policies, fair treatment, protection. For Ella, it was a new beginning. For the diner, it was a reckoning. But for everyone watching, it was a mirror. How many Ellas exist in the world? How many bruises are hidden under sleeves? How many voices silenced by fear? The answer is too many. And the question remains, when will we finally listen? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories and new videos.